It is a global movement. That's what our mission was right at the beginning, back to when we had 3 and 4 people on the beach. It was to create a ripple, a wave throughout the entire planet.
You start shifting what you're putting in your ears, eyes, mouth, all of these things. You understand the capacity of what you can operate from. But it's a classic saying, and what we don't know until we don't.
The money in your bank account is reflective of how many good relationships you have with other human beings in the world.
It's just understanding how much energy you actually fucking just throwing away, and you're depleting yourself.
If we are judging and criticising people with the way they look or whatever they may be doing, we're actually just criticising what we're doing, the way we're acting.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If we truly love ourselves unconditionally, we will love everybody unconditionally, no matter what they're doing.
The reason that we've done so well is because we did it so differently to everyone else, and we trusted in just creating our own thing. And that's why it's resonated, because it's something that people have never experienced before.
Clarity, direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. Guys, we have our second returning guests today, and it's the duo, the boys. The Cool to Be Conscious boys are back. Rue and Rye, welcome back to the show, boys.
Thanks, brother.
Is that it? Is that all I'm getting? Let's go, Frankie Lee. Is that it?
7
bro?
coffees.
Is that it? Right? Fucking hell, Jesus Christ! It's going to be a long fucking podcast.
We practiced this. Come on, mate. If it's
I thought his media tech has improved, but
still learning the ropes.
Learning the game. Lads, what's been going on? What has been going on in your life since you were last on the show?
Shit. When were we here last? I don't even remember.
I'd say probably 15, 20 episodes ago.
Were we living on the sunny coast then?
Yeah, we're based there.
Yeah.
So since that, we've been up and down the countryside a few times. We've been to Cairns, we've been to Ely, we've been to Yeppoon, we've been to 1770, we've been on a yacht. We've been doing a lot, actually.
You've been doing a lot. But what I've been noticing is you've really been scaling the movement, the Call to Be Conscious movement, with your breath and consciousness and everything like that you're doing. And I've noticed that obviously things are really starting to now flourish into areas across Australia, New Zealand. I know we'll talk about this, but America's going to be on the cards, and other countries too. Give me a bit of a background, and the audience into a background of how you've transformed your thought process on building a movement and everything that's come through for you.
Yeah. So I guess it is a global movement. That's what our mission was right at the beginning, back to when we had 3 and 4 people on the beach. It was to create a ripple, a wave throughout the entire planet. And as of recently, we've been seeing our message really resonate with a lot of people throughout Australia and New Zealand. And we know that to create that massive change, that massive difference, we need to be in America. That's where the popular culture begins, is people there that will be able to spread our message with us. And I guess America's like that driving force with a lot of trends and things like that. We want to be at the front of that trend and help spread this message throughout the planet like that. We were planning on going to Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, doing a little bit of an Australian loop. Even New Zealand, we were wanting to do that before we went to America. And it's funny how, like we were saying, we just started chatting again, and
you rocked up at my house.
We rocked up at your house. We just came to say hello, and you just dropped some perspectives and views around what we were doing, just from that third party that we hadn't really had a lot of recently. We've been really trusting and just following our own guidance, but it was really nice just to have that alternate view. And I feel like we're going to go there a lot sooner than we were first planning, because what's stopping us? What's holding us back?
Yeah, I kind of felt when you similar to, and if I'm totally honest with you guys and the audience as well, it's like I've had a lot of frustrations in my life the last few months, and some of the frustrations are a similar thing to what you're experiencing. So let's just set the tone here. I felt the frustration from you guys, because you're trying to build this movement. You know it's a good thing. You know it's going in the right directions. You know it's doing all the right things, which a lot of people in their life right now are feeling. They feel like they're doing all the right moves, all the right 1%. But then they pull the safest card that they can pull out their pack to still feel like they're doing the 1%, but it's a fucking safe play. Yep. It's the equivalent of for me to grow this podcast. It's currently number 7 as we speak today in the education chart. That's in Australia. It's number fucking 40 in the UK. It's fucking number 19 or number 18 in New Zealand, right? As we speak this moment. The safe thing for someone like me to do would be to just solely focus on this, that, and the other. But if you want to grow, and in this country and that, but if you want to grow, you have to go dive in the deepest fucking darkest depths
places you've never been.
Places 100%. You've never been. If you want to touch the world the way that you want to touch with your movement, the way that I want to touch the world with this podcast, it's this, that, and the other. Some of the frustrations for me on a personal level is because I fucking love this podcast, right? And I love what I'm building the same way that you boys love what you're building. And some of the frustrations that came through for me from breathing and doing all this other work that I've been doing has been like, podcasts monetize with ads. But I don't want to fucking put an ad on the podcast. I don't want to fucking do ads because it ruins the fucking flow of the conversation. And and everything that I feel is good about the thing that you're bringing to the world and that I'm bringing to the world and all this stuff would be fucked if I put, buy this new teeth whitening kit. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't fucking 100%. It doesn't fucking flow.
It's the energy that you're creating and you're speaking about and you're sharing out of your being. It's not even the word you say. It's the energy, and is it congruent with what your true message is? And putting up these bullshit products you don't believe in is an incongruent energy, and people feel that and they go, oh, this guy's full of shit. Whereas where it's coming from, and it's just that raw authenticity, and there's none of this bullshit attached to it. There's none of this fake energy trying to merge together. People feel that. It's beyond the words. And that's why it's been growing so well. That's why it's going to that next level. And it's just that trust in it. It's fully trusting it. Fully trusting it.
Yeah, and I guess what came out when you boys turned up at my house, which is the first time that I've seen you and been in your presence for quite a number of months now in the kind of setting, and it's like you both turned up, and I could see that there was tension in the air because you wanted all this stuff, but it was just like, it's like, I think certain things and certain business ways of operating were putting shackles around your mind as to what could really be achieved by actually moving through that and just looking. Take yourself out of Sydney and Melbourne. If you touch enough people in the right environments with what you're doing anyway, you're gonna grow in those areas, and you're gonna grow massive communities in those areas by the people that you've already facilitating in those areas. Take yourself away from that. Move yourself out of that zone. Now look at it from a bigger perspective. Where can you energetically affect the most amount of people, affect the most amount of lives, create the most amount of change in the world with what you actually truly want to do? And the fucking answer, when you actually strip it all back, and the reason I'm saying this to all of you guys on here about these two boys is because we all have the fucking right move in front of us, and we all struggle to see it for ourselves. But when we get outside perspective, it needs to be outside perspective that comes from the right place.
100%.
Yeah?
That's the most important part of
it. It's similar to when you're in a toxic relationship, or you're in that environment with somebody and you're living in it, you're breathing it, and friends come up to you and can give you this outside perspective from a loving place and go, hey, are you actually okay? Is this relationship benefiting you in some way? But when you're in that relationship, you don't see out. You're in that fog. So for you to bring us that perspective when we were in that was amazing, and the timing of it was perfect. And going back to those programs or that structure around business and the way that we're operating, for Ro and I to return back to ourselves and follow our hearts and act from that place, which is where we started from. We had no outside input at all, but as we've grown, people have wanted to be a part of our business
and to put something. People think there is no such thing as business, right? The truth is, it's relationships, right? There is no such business is not a skill. It's not. I don't care what anyone says. The reason why the High Smile Boys are so successful is predicated on the relationship they have with the customer and the relationships they have with themselves and the relationship they have with their brand and what they feel about it and all that stuff. Relationships is the word you're looking for.
Yeah.
Business is not. That's why. I'll be fucking honest with you. There is no such fucking thing as a business mentor. No such fucking thing, because business is so many things. It can't be business. It's relationships. It's understanding how to communicate with people at different fucking levels. It's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of stuff. It's way bigger than just one word, business.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes back to that fact that you cannot teach personality. You cannot teach authenticity. It's something that we have to learn by understanding ourselves on a much deeper level. How are we showing up? What are we exuding? What are these conversations leading to from how we're showing up? Are we actually being authentic? Are we speaking our truth? Are people trusting us? Or are they feeling that sense of distrust from someone trying to be someone they're not or be something that they aren't? If we can be authentic, if we can speak our truth, be vulnerable, be open, and trust in that message that's coming through and voice that's what creates trust. And then the business is the relationship is a byproduct from you being your most authentic self.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no coincidence that the money in your bank account is reflective of how many good relationships you have with other human beings in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that.
And that is the game. That is the fucking game. It's the relationships you have. You're in the business of people. I know Gary Vee talks about that all the time. He's like, money is just purely the byproduct. You're in the business of people, how you interact. It comes down to energy, and the energy that you exude into your employees, and then they are able to work through their blockages or whatever that might be that's holding them back from sharing more energy with the people that they're sharing the message with. It all starts with us and the energy that we have and share with those around us, so that they can filter in those around them, and then those around them. It's that ripple effect, those waves that you're creating, and it all starts with that internal dive and allowing us to expand ourselves so we can share that as much as we possibly can. Yeah, because and that was a key piece that kind of came through to me, was the fact that, like, here's two lads that have, you know, gone on a journey to become consciously connected, to create relationships, and then people along the time have gone, guys, you've got to get more business minded. You've got to be this. You've got to charge these fees. You've got to put this structure in place, and that's cool. And it needs to be fucking done. It needs to be done. Granted, without a shadow of a doubt, there needs to be structure. There needs to be this and this. That's needed in any business and anything that you build. But beyond that, never ever forget. It's the relationships, and the more relationships you can create with the most amount of people, the clients, your customers, your ideal people that you're trying to attract into your world. It's those relationships that, when they feel that authenticity of what you do, and that's obviously why your movement's grown at such a rate it is. Obviously, there's going to be a fair value exchange, and the fair value exchange in my mind, from what I know from the people that I've spoken to, is that if you put 100% value into the world, right, you can, as a business, as an entity that has to earn money, as a human being, you can charge 10% of the value of the 100% that you put in the world. Now, when you are a High Smile who is putting out a mass amount of value in the teeth whitening space, touching hundreds and hundreds of thousands of customers, you can afford to clip 1% of the ticket on the way back to you for the value that you put out to the world, compared to 10% because of how much volume you start to shift, right? And that's the way I see things now, because when I saw things all about, like, just clip money, clip money, clip money, clip money, it was very unfulfilling and very soul destroying, and it takes you away from the whole fucking thing that you enjoy the most. For me, on a personal level, which is like talking to another human being, and actually putting some form of understanding from, I understand your problem and I can solve it with this solution. I've heard you. I can solve it. It costs this much, but the payoff for me solving your problem that costs you $1,000 in the fucking first month to you is worth $10,000. Fair value exchange, a fair relationship, a good exchange of energy, a good exchange of value, and that to me isn't called business. It's called a relationship. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the way I see it now. And I've never seen it like that before this like last 12 to 15, 16 months. It was always about something else. Mm-hmm. There's too many. You go on Instagram now. Every fucker's a business coach. How to make more money? And fuck me, you're missing the point.
Like it comes back to that reason why. Like why do you even want money? Is it to go buy the flashy car? Is it to go buy the fancy house, apartment, whatever it is, the watch? Or is it to create something? Is it to share a message? Is it to help another human being? Are you looking at it as you can hoard it and you can hold on to that, and the more I have, the better I'll feel? Or is it the more I have, the more I can give? Because if we hold it, holding on to energy, holding on to that money is just energy, right? Energy works when it's flowing. So if we stagnate it and hold on to it, yes, you might have a shitload of money, but we might not be well internally. We need to allow that to come and go, allow that to flow, and that will actually allow you to expand that energetic container so you can actually receive more money and let more money go and help more humans, or whatever your message is, whatever you're looking to do with that money that's not hoarding it. That's what it comes back to for me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I can't think of the word. The Japanese word for thank you, and there's a guy that teaches about the free and abundant flow of money. I can't think of his name. He's a very famous. I think his name's Ken something, but he teaches about the free flow of money and all this stuff in the marketplace, and he thanks his money in with the Japanese term for thank you. He thanks his money when he spends it and pays someone else, and he thanks his money when he gets it. Wow. Because it's like, thank you for getting me this $1,000 worth of marketing with this piece of paper, and thank you for giving me more of this paper. Do you know what I mean? Like, from the marketing that I've just put out to it. Sounds fucking stupid, sounds woo-woo, until you start to become more and more in tune with yourself and who you are as a man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because we, there's podcasts and there's podcasts. There's podcasts out there, right, where you could fill your mind with stuff that sounds entertaining. And it's all sounds entertaining. It's very funny content. Oh, wow, yeah, wicked. But it's shit. Right, you're filling your mind full of shit, right? Shit that ain't taking you no fucking.
Shit and shit grows.
shit that's like. There's a podcast, I won't mention the name, but it's like it's by a couple of girls, and they have this massive podcast in the world, and they touch millions of women's minds. And
does it start with C and end with Daddy?
Yeah, and it's like it teaches mass amount of women, right, without them knowing it subconsciously, to resent men, to lower their self-worth, to lower men's self-worth, to have toxic relationships with men, to have toxic relationships with themselves. It teaches that at scale to millions of women, right? Millions of women. And I'm like, there's no fucking value. There's no value there.
So the listeners believe there is value because they're stuck in that mindset that's their level of consciousness, that's their level of awareness, and that's the best way to get pleasure or to gain from something.
It's all distraction.
Yeah.
It's all distraction. It's entertainment. These people that are working from this level, these are the values levels, 1 to 7. Most people are operating from 3 to 4, which is material, which is ego, which is attachment, which is greed.
Yeah.
When you're in that
lack of abundance,
when you're in that frequency or on that channel, all you're doing is running away from yourself. We can drop into this space a little bit deeper, but when you're running away from yourself, all you're doing is distracting yourself in the forms of entertainment, listening to these shitty podcasts, filling your ears with garbage, shitty music, whatever that may be. But at the time, you're like, oh, this is amazing. Drama, talking talking shit about people. This is all that level 3, 4 kind of attachment there.
I've realised in this podcast game that the level of podcast that you listen to as a man or woman tells you everything about where you are in your life, right? That is some powerful fucking shit if that's just hit your ears.
Absolutely.
Right? What you're listening to shows you exactly where you are, right? And there's no judgment from me on where you are, and there should be no judgment on yourself for where you are, but just be conscious of where the fuck you are, right? And understand that that's not anything that's in your ear that's actually, it might be funny in that moment, and there might be laughter, but it's costing you
100%. And you don't even realise you're picking it up. You'll think, I don't even remember. I might remember one thing from that podcast. But you actually remember every single piece and every single word and every single piece of tonality they used in your subconscious mind. And that is where the danger happens if you're putting garbage in. And it's also the same if you're putting good information in, information that's helping you expand and grow. Podcast played a huge role in myself and Ryan's journey in that exact thing. We didn't even know we were doing it. I was working a golf course listening to 6 hours a day. He was painting houses listening to 6 or 8 hours a day of the best minds in the world, the most peaceful minds in the world, and practices and things you can do. And just that resonance of what they're saying and going into the subconscious mind, we're not even sure why we start to act a different way or show a bit more love.
Elevate.
It's just there.
Elevate. I am very conscious when I step on here. Why do I do a podcast? I do it to fucking help a mass amount of people elevate their fucking life, break patterns, flip perspectives, right? I've been doing that since day fucking 1. Every time I turn up and get on here, I'm trying to fucking move the needle in your life, my own life, and distill what wisdom I'm learning as a 33-year-old man as I accentuate through life, and share the wisdom of the guests as well, to elevate yours and to elevate mine, and so that we all win, right? Every fucking time I get on the mic, I think the same fucking thing. I'm fucking lit up. It lights me up. Doing it for the right reason. There's nothing wrong with entertainment, but just understand that if you're, you know, when you're at home and you could be working on this key domino, that if you knock this key domino over, it starts to change your fucking life. When you've got the choice between that and watching Netflix, or that, or listening to an entertainment podcast, that doesn't really scratch below that level, beyond that level 3 that Ryan was talking about just then.
And the thing is, it's not like you have to be 100% in an all personal development shit, all information, all science. It's having that sort of 80-20 rule, being able to swing the pendulum when you need to. Yes, the majority try and keep it conscious and really stuff that's going to help you grow as a human in whatever field it is. And there's shit out there for everything. But it's also important to have those switch off ones, those things you just have a laugh at and you just completely let go of needing to learn and stuff, because otherwise you'll just burn yourself out.
I'm going to put it out there. In voice, right? One day I'm going to go and call her daddy. One day I'm going to go and call her daddy. I'm going to have the best conversation she's ever had. I fucking guarantee you. If she sat down with me, best conversation she's ever fucking had. Because it'd just be so fucking. I just know. I've just seen it right then. Because her podcast isn't bad. Like, it's not a bad podcast. No. She could just change millions of women's lives in a lot different respect if she changed the place she was coming from. And and the reason why it came across my table was because 3 girls this week, right, and we're only on fucking Tuesday, have gone, Frankie, I just want to say, like, your podcast has done this and this and this, and I've stopped listening to call her daddy because I feel like this toxic. 3 women have written that to me in the last week.
See, this is what it comes down to when you're coming from that place of love. You want to fucking help as many people as you can. And just from what you said, going on that podcast and helping her shift her perspective, and you know that will create the ripples throughout her community and all these girls and men and how they understand themselves and how they operate. And that is creating a huge global change. It's just exactly the same as why we're doing what we're doing, trying to connect with these people with big, large audiences and communities, because we know if we can shift their perspective, allow them to see more love within themselves, they're going to start sharing a more empowering message with their communities, and that's how we can create like these ripples so much larger than ourselves.
When she signed a Spotify deal, I went and bought a drink and I cheersed her off the balcony because I believe she's doing it for all the right reasons in her life, and I believe she's building something incredible. And I celebrated her, and I think her podcast is great. And I look at her as kind of an inspiration to someone like me of how far you can build a community, right? But fuck me, when you build it, and you've got all them ears, and they're so young, and we're talking women from the age of maybe probably like 16 to fucking 30, and I'm like, fuck. That's 3 million ears a week that are tuning in, and they're being taught to operate how I was operating when I was a fuckboy. And I'm trying to move I'm trying to say, fuck me, I'm not trying to operate in that world anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? I've been there, man. It's toxic as fuck. Empty shit. Yeah. There's no growth there. No. I've been there, I've lived it, Ryan's lived it, Rue's played the game. Do you know what I'm saying? But all three of us as men have played the game there, right? And had to move through that and have that ego death of like going away from that toxicness. And then I'm like, fuck, something needs to shift there.
When you're in that level of awareness and you're operating in there and you are a part of that, you're so uneducated on how powerful you are and how much energy you can create. And when you let go of these relationships, connections, when you start shifting what you're putting in your ears, eyes, mouth, all of these things, you understand the capacity of what you can operate from. But it's a classic saying, and what we don't know until we know. If we don't know that we can feel this alive, we can feel this energized and inspired every day.
Yeah.
You know? And it's until we fucking make a change. And when are we going to make a change? How much suffering do we need to go through until we go, something needs to change here? What's it going to take for you? How much more of this continual circling on this rat wheel is it going to take for you to go, I need to change what I'm digesting?
I know. And sometimes I feel when you've the good thing about entertainment podcasts, all entertainment podcasts, is when you listen to them, you have to, if it's what I call like positively negative entertainment, which is like, it seems like it's positive for you, but it's actually massively toxically negative, which there's about 10 or 20 podcasts I can think of that are what I term as positively negative content, which you listen to them, you feel a certain way, but you go to sleep at night and subconsciously your mind's building more walls with other human beings and other types of human beings because of the type of content you're listening to. Mm-hmm. That to me is like, fuck, like, it's for some, it's frustrating, but it's also empowering because it's like, fuck, you can. Yeah,
it's on you.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I've got to get to what I've basically come to the terms with, right? Is that I'm like, she's got a phenomenal podcast, and I've got to have a phenomenal podcast on the same level as that type of podcast that touches the same amount of ears to have what I feel is a better version of the impact that could have on humanity, on the people listening, on the value that's added to the world. I've got to do that now. Because if I don't, I'm thinking to myself, I was laying in bed the other night, I thought to myself, if I don't do something to change this, we're going to have a fucking whole society.
You can't sleep at night. You're like, fuck, no one else is doing it.
Because there's some phenomenal podcasts, like Steven has a phenomenal podcast, fucking phenomenal. The Mindset Mentor, right? Phenomenal fucking podcast, adding value. Don't get me wrong, they've got fucking ads in, which I fucking hate, right? I don't think these two podcasts should not have ads in. Should not. But how do they get to the level that they want to get to without the ads? They haven't. They've had to do it in a certain way, and they've chose to do it that way. But nevertheless, there's a massive amount of valuable podcasts out there that I think that people should listen to, even if it's not mine, or even if it's not yours that you're launching, or something like this. Just make sure whatever you're plugging yourself into is something that is adding what you fucking really truly need.
And I think the magic in that is you're doing it your way. You're doing it how the fuck you want to do it. You're not following a script of how the others got to number one or how the others did the best in the world. You're doing it your fucking way. And that's why it's going to be different. That's why it's going to be the best, I believe. And it's because you're trusting yourself. You know what's best for your audience. And that's what it came down to. And it's the advice you gave to us as well. Like, we were starting to go away from
who you were,
from who we were a little bit. And the reason that we've done so well is because we did it so differently to everyone else, and we trusted in just creating our own thing. And that's why it's resonated, because it's something that people have never experienced before.
And even if, when we first started, we had all of these, I guess, thought processes of, fuck, this is going to cause... certain way we're going to do it, and it's going to cause triggers, and it's going to cause people to judge us and criticise us. Yeah. And that was okay, because no matter what we did, as long as it felt right for us, that was the main thing. And that's with what you're doing, or anyone that's doing something in their life and they're passionate about it and they believe in it. It doesn't fucking matter about any other thing. If you believe in it, if you love what you're doing, if you're passionate, full stop, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You keep doing it.
Yeah.
You keep doing it. People will feel that. They'll feel it, and it'll grow authentically and organically.
Yeah. I think people can understand as well when I say what I was saying. I'm not saying it from a place of like, I hate this girl. No. I love what the girl's done. Mm-hmm. I love the deal she's signed. I love what she's built. I love the community. I love everything she's doing from that point of view. All of it. I love all of it. It's fucking phenomenal. The branding's on point. But I just want the message to shift as she naturally ages and accentuates. The message will change.
It will, absolutely,
100%. And I just believe it. I fucking believe it. And I think when it does, it's fucking some powerful shit. It's a lot of people. And what you've just said there in relation to what you're doing, and what in relation to what I'm doing with this podcast and everything else, is like, when you're building yourself into a position where you start to have thousands of people tuning into your breathwork or your podcast or your business, and you're selling products, make fucking sure it's on purpose to fucking who you are, what you want to be, how you want to turn up,
and in alignment with what you're spreading. Yeah. Is it in alignment? So, for example, if we were to bring out what we called our movement is called to be conscious.
Yeah.
If we go around throwing rubbish on the side of the road,
it's not conscious.
That is not in alignment with that is not embodiment in what we're doing. So what we're doing at the moment is trying to bring out some merch or something for people to wear and to represent. But we want to make sure that the clothing brand that feels right and the business that we use to create this clothing is in alignment with our values. If it's not, and those businesses that are, or those movements that are creating things and they do things that are out of alignment, it creates that distrust, because people go, they're not embodied in what they're teaching, they're not embodied in what they're exuding. So it's really important for us, especially beginning with what we're creating, is to be in alignment and incongruent with what we're speaking, being embodied with what we're doing, living and breathing the practices that we teach others, and being integrous with what we say.
The reason this podcast up until this point hasn't had a clothing line is because it doesn't feel right to me at this moment. Like, it would just be at this moment on this podcast, it would feel to me like, I'm just sticking my logo or sticking a few sayings on a t-shirt. And when I will bring clothing out in the future, when it's fucking right. When I get the right partner, I might partner with fucking Lululemon and fucking put Frankie podcast on the back of a fucking next to their logo. I might partner with another brand. You know what I mean? Gymshark might get some fucking common sense. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, there's you gotta feel into this stuff as well. Like, it's not just, it can't all just be about the cash plays.
Absolutely.
If I used to operate predicated on cash plays, right? With my content removal stuff, with stuff that I've done in the past, it's all about like, high ticket stuff, sell this, boom, 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 deliver this, yeah, cool, but cash plays. As soon as I found voice, podcasting, communication, feeling into what I'm meant to be doing, becoming more like, this is who I actually fucking am. Right, as soon as I started to feel that, I'm like, I ain't fucking putting no fucking quick cash play over the top of this, because this feeling, this being on this much purpose, I ain't fucking with that shit.
It's the energy you feel, hey?
It's different fucking gravy. It's different gravy, though.
Different gravy, absolutely. And it's like, it is the energy you're creating for yourself, because it feels right from this place, not just up here and you're thinking about the dollar. The dollar's not the top thing anymore, because that loses substance. That doesn't have a big energy to it. It's similar to, so I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life. I've loved just selling shit. I remember selling chocolate bars at school, and when I went to uni, I started like a inflatable cube marquee business. I started selling charcoal and mouth products. I started selling like sunglasses strings, and I got them all to a point where I just started making money, and then I was like,
I'm not interested.
What's next? Like this is, it's just that it was an empty feeling for me, even though I'd started making money, and it was like, fuck yeah, I've finally got it. And then it was just like this empty feeling.
Yeah.
But when I started learning about the breath, and I had felt that, what it does to me, and it helped expand myself and my awareness and the way I look at the world, I was like, fuck, I've got to share this with everyone. And money just didn't even come into the equation to begin with.
Yeah.
I know I see the importance of it and how it does help spread the message, but at the beginning it was like, how can I share this with as many human beings on this planet as I can?
Yep.
And it just, I was just fueled every day. It came from a different place. There's a different energizing factor that's pushing you, or it's even pulling you towards it. And that is what we've created, is that what we've got at the top is spreading a message of love.
Yeah,
money's down here. It's not our top value. When that's your top value, you get it and you feel empty. There has to be a different motivating factor in there that's greater than that selfish need.
Yeah, 100%. And on that, I just want to go back to this T-shirt point, right? It's like, I think of things in the compass of like, if I'm gonna sell something to you for $30. I want to have added at least $300 worth of value or feeling, or some 10x the value to your life, right? And I don't think with this type of podcast, this type of content, this type of communication, that merch at this moment can deliver that value. So I don't do it, right? I don't think ads. I think ads would fuck the flow of what I want you to get into your ears and what I want you to get in your subconscious mind and what I want to take you further. So I don't put them there. Because yes, it's money, but it fucks the flow and it fucks your experience, so I won't fucking do it, right? Simple. I don't give a fuck. Whether yes, it costs me money, but I don't give a fuck because I love this, right? Here's the thing. So I was thinking of ways of like, and I was speaking to you about this. I was showing you the thing. It's probably launched by this point. By the time this podcast goes out, it's probably launched. But I've been building the Frankie Lee Academy. And the way that that's going to work is I'm going to add more value to people's lives through contents and masterclasses with people like yourself and people that come on the podcast and it's something where we talk about a certain topic and add value to people's lives way more than the fucking value that's charged on the monthly fee of being involved in it. And then that's fair exchange, right? That's how I will get money for the podcast to be able to get more ears on the podcast to help people to help more. Because anything when you're on purpose with what you're doing, say you're a real estate agent and you fucking love selling real estate, you fucking love it. Wouldn't you take all the money? Not all the money, obviously you've got to live off a portion of it, but wouldn't you take as much money as you could, right? And go and buy as many ads as you could to get more people to see your real estate and then sell more real estate and then go and take more money into like what's his name? Ryan Seacrest or whatever his name is. Not Ryan Seacrest, the guy
Ryan Reynolds.
No,
Ron Hubbard.
The guy that does $1 Million Listing, he was the same. He was the same thing. He sold real estate. And he took all his cash and he invested it in media people and this and that to build his brand, to build this, to sell more real estate. And it's just a perpetual motion. When you're on purpose and you're doing the right thing, business, mindset, personal, whatever the right thing is for you at that particular time, you keep investing in this, and then you create something with love that you think other people resonate with, that you put value in. You charge fucking a minute amount compared to the value you deliver to the world. And then you fucking spend practically 80% of everything you generate from doing that exchange in getting more people to see the whole thing. And it works as a circle, a pendulum, like a circular motion effect, like a washing machine. It just keeps going round and round and round. And that's how you...
vortex.
Yeah, like a vortex.
A vortex, baby.
But it's energetically.
Absolutely.
So you're earning... So now what you've got in essence is what I'm trying to explain, which I'm fucking up in massive.
I'm with you. Yeah. I'm just with you.
No, what I'm trying to explain, and this will put it in better context. What I'm trying to explain is you're on purpose with them with what you do. You're on purpose with the money you earn from monetizing on the back end of what you do, and you're on purpose with the way that you spend the money from what you've earned the money from doing. Mm-hmm. Purposeful. You are now, as a human, you're more complete, because every other time in my life that I've gone through these things, I've had separate money, separate purpose, separate fucking life. Everything's fucking separate. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to make the whole thing as a circular motion, so that every element of my life is elevated so it spins in a circle, rather than it fucking being this is here, this is here, this is here, and the wheel would never spin because the wheel's out of balance. Mm-hmm. That's what
I love it.
Just thought that was the right time to drop that.
I love that. What popped up for me there was, when you're creating this income from something that you're super passionate about, it's something that recently popped up for Ro and I. We're about to invest in something, and then after deep discussion with ourselves, it was like, let's invest this back into us. Let's invest this back into us. So all the money, all the energy that's created from Call to Be Conscious is we're going straight back into Call to Be Conscious, straight back into marketing, spreading that message as we were speaking about before.
Yep.
Put it back out there. Build the movement. Don't put it into something else. Don't buy crypto. Don't buy back into the business. Yep. All of our income
shows how much you
business.
believe in what you do.
Yep.
Like, we pay ourselves $350 a week.
Yeah.
And it pays for our food and a roof over our head, and the rest of it, there's no point in it sitting in our bank account, because all we want to do is build this and spread this because we believe in it so fucking much.
Nah, I feel it, and the caveat, which is what you've said, which is right, that when you get to a certain level, which you boys are at, you deserve to obviously, take a couple of grand out, buy yourself a drone. Take a couple of grand out, buy yourself a watch if you want to buy yourself a watch. If that's what you want to do, you deserve to be able to do that, of course. But when you're so on purpose, right, there's a few times, I'll tell you this, right? I said to myself, I've always liked them Gucci trainers. Mm-hmm. And I'm like...
Why do you like them,
bro?
Huh? Yeah, like your wheels, mate. Yeah.
Why do you like them? Do you like what they made from? How they look?
I
or
don't.
How you look to others in them?
I don't. And this is why I've never bought them.
Yeah.
That exact reason is why I've never bought them.
So you don't actually care about it. So you don't care what others think of you in them.
Hold on. Right, hold on. Before we go into that, right? Because
I got something here. Yeah.
I'm happy for you to go through that, because I think the same as what you're going to say. But here's what happens. Frankie goes, I like them Gucci trainers.
Yep.
Cool, I'll buy a pair. I deserve a pair. I've delivered value to the world. I deserve to go buy a pair. So I go into fucking, go into the store and I go and fucking, I walk in there and I'm like, yeah, I'll just try these on, and boom, 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 I'm trying them on.
Yeah.
And I got them on my feet and they feel good and blah, 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 blah. And then I buy Bitcoin and walk out the shop. Because I'm like, or I buy ads or I buy something else.
Mm-hmm.
I've never bought them.
Why did you go out? Why didn't you buy them?
I don't know. I just think to myself, this is stupid.
Right.
What's this for?
Love it.
What
was it for?
I don't know. I've been in there twice. I don't know. I've been there twice. I haven't been there in about 8-9 months, but I've been there twice, and I thought, I'll buy these. And I thought to myself, I got them on, and I'm like, they feel great. They look great. They look good. And then I'm like, I've kind of associated. This is probably a bit wrong and probably a bit judgmental of me, but I've kind of associated that when I see people in them shoes, I'm
you
like,
judge them.
I'm trying to. I think to myself, they're nice. It was obviously worked hard for them. Good for you, but I wanna. To me, it's like that's $1,000 on ads on Facebook to get more people to listen to this podcast, and I've just totally reassociated.
Yeah, you were associating the brand with a sense of success.
Yeah.
Or this person's doing really good in their life because they've got the funds to be able to afford Gucci. But when you're in there, you've realised you don't need to prove anything to anyone.
Yeah.
I don't need to show anything to anyone.
Yeah.
I know that I'm doing good things, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Fuck the Gucci.
Yeah. I kind of think that these things are constantly happening.
Yeah.
Like,
the more I guess that you continue growing, the more detachment from those things is going to be in people.
I've become more detached, and I'm like, fuck, this is.
And it's not to say you can't enjoy fucking going racing in a nice fucking fast car or putting on an epic tailor-made suit or whatever, because it feels good and it feels nice and it's nice to do these things. But it's the detachment of needing it and how you look to other people.
Yeah. And do you know what, right? I've always liked the look of Lambos, and I've been in quite a few Lambos in my life. And I've always thought, you know what, eventually I'll have enough to buy fucking 10 of these fuckers. I just will. I know I'm going to be a wealthy man. I've got a wealthy mindset. I know what's coming. I know where I'm going, right? I've always known. Abdullah goes, I'll take you out in my car. So Abdullah, epic guy, very humble, 21 years old, got a Lambo, unbelievable. We're driving down the road, I'm in this Lambo, and I think to myself, I don't want one. It's fucking uncomfortable as fuck. It's because I'd forgot, because I'd not been in a Lambo since I was last in England. I was in my mate's Lambo in England, and in England it was a big statement to have a Lambo. Here, there's a few more Lambos in the Gold Coast where we live than what it is, and obviously I'm stepping into this Lambo now with 33-year-old eyes, which are different to probably the last time I sat in one. And it was good, and I sat there, and I was at peace, and it was good. We went for a coffee, went for food. Just a normal car to me, right? But I was thinking, fuck. My Audi to me is like way more comfy to sit in. Even as a passenger, if someone else is driving, it's way more comfortable. Like this thing is, I said to Abdullah, I leaned over to him, I'm like, bro, this is fucking tight. Does the seat go back? He's like, no, bro. It's just because it's Lambo size. Like, this is the Lambo. Yeah. This is it. What? The seat doesn't go back? No. That's it. I'm like, fuck, bruv. I'm boxed in. Yeah. And I think so. In that moment, what I felt was, fuck. I'm proud. I said to him, mate, I'm fucking proud of your growth, man. Like, congratulations, man. Like, this is your dream. Like, congratulations. This is fucking great. Like, fucking hyped for you. But in my head, I'm thinking, this is fucking great for you, but this, but this is not for me anymore. Yeah. This is not for me anymore. And I was at peace with it. I was at fucking peace with it.
That's because, like you just said before, back in the day, it was about making a statement.
Yeah.
Now you realise you don't need to make a fucking statement.
I would have swung my dick in a Lambo back in the day. I would have been absolutely.
Now you don't give a fuck about it because you realise that how ego driven that is, and there's no attachment there anymore. But
Abdullah's bought it for the right reason.
Yeah. Does he enjoy the drive?
He enjoys it. It was his dream. He's not flash with it. He's nice with it. He does every. If I can only hope that when I was 21, that I'd have had the vision that he has, because it's like he'll drive his Lambo, he'll enjoy his Lambo for what it is, and if a child's taking a photo, he'll take him for a little drive in it, and it's nice. So it's become more about. But if I'd bought that at 21,
Look at me.
It would have been all about like, oh, it's the Frankie fucking dick swinging competition again. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And it's totally. You're totally in the wrong mindset, and I think a lot of us as humans get in this total wrong mindset, whether it's about the things, and I've talked about this many times, and the reason why these podcasts are so conversational rather than question answers, because it's real shit. It's like whatever comes up, whatever is meant to be spoken about is spoken about. It's like everything that's been spoken about today with you boys is obviously meant to be out in the world because it's here, right? And it's just it's just real shit. This is real shit. Like, I'm working through every day, and you boys are working through, and none of us have it right. We all have, I'm feeling slightly unworthy today, right? Oh, I'm feeling slightly my ego's out today. Oh, fuck, this antagonises me. We all feel that at some point, and it's fucking okay. You don't have to judge yourself for it. You just have to sit with it. But notice how your mind kind of evolves, because you know how we get into patterns of things. Some people are still buying designer goods because they like their designer good, because of what it gave them when they were 18, 19, 20, right? But if they actually just step back, they'd be like, fuck, actually, I'm just buying this because it's a habit, not because it actually gives me what I think it's giving me.
Yeah, it's so true.
That's some powerful shit if that hits your ears right now.
Yeah.
That's what I've realised. I've realised, because when I fucking couldn't even afford to fucking have food on a beach, that I'd always wanted Gucci shoes back then, I was in a different fucking place. I had no fucking cash. Of course I wanted them, because I had no fucking cash. Most of the wealthiest people I know don't have that shit. You have to ask yourself why. I have quite a few times. And the culmination that came through was, when you know everything's good, you don't need to prove everything's fucking good.
No. It's that love within yourself. This is what came through for me, is you would have attached or seen people with Lambos get all the attention. Yeah. That's getting love, getting energy from other people. And maybe you didn't have that at the time in your life, and you go, fuck, I'd do anything to get that love,
As
get
a
that
young
attention.
child in England, I remember seeing them. I remember seeing them thinking, fuck. And because when I was brought up in England, a product of my environment at the time when people had nice things was to hate them for having nice things, right? Yeah. My life and my thought process on that topic alone changed when I came to Australia massively.
Interesting.
So now I celebrate people. Like I sat there thinking, I don't want one of these Lambos, but fuck me, I am so proud of you, bruv, for getting what you want. Like, I'm fucking proud. I was fucking elated. But it was fine, because I was elated for you, but I didn't want it for myself.
Yeah.
And I was cool with that. And I thought, fuck, that was a shift.
It all comes back to a reflection of how we feel inside of ourselves. You know, if we are judging and criticising people with the way they look or whatever they may be doing, we're actually just criticising what we're doing and the way we're acting.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If we truly love ourselves unconditionally, we will love everybody unconditionally, no matter what they're doing.
Yep. 100%.
If we're creating conflict in public spaces, if we're arguing with people, we're really just arguing with ourselves.
Yeah.
There's something going on in our lives that we need to have an in-depth conversation with ourselves with, maybe, and work through that within our own. If we're being angry out in public, that's a pure reflection of the anger that's inside of you that you need to move through yourself individually in a controlled environment.
Yeah, man. And everything is a mirror. And you literally get the opportunity every day to observe yourself in the mirror by observing who you dislike.
Yep.
Because sometimes, and everyone's the same, I'll walk. I'll be walking through a place or into a place, and I'll see a person. I just don't like them. I just don't like them. And I'm like, okay, what part of them has showed up in me that I didn't like?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
That is some powerful shit when you actually strip
that was huge for our journey. I think like the beginning of the year, the understanding the neuro-linguistic programming, the NLP stuff, and that was a big part of it. Being able to anything that triggered me internally from anything any other human did, if I fully was honest with myself and reflected and gone, what in my life, how is that showing up? How am I like neglecting that? How am I doing that myself?
Yeah.
And it might not be the exact same thing that's appearing in front of you, but there's a part of, and there's an element of that within you that is still not free. And when you can be aware of that, you can start to let that go. That is the first part of it, clearing that vessel, increasing.
Do you think that happens in every human?
Oh, 100%.
I do.
Absolutely.
I do. I think it's just about, and podcasts like this help, and other good podcasts out there help bring just your level of awareness back to consciousness, back to so you mean Frankie goes through feeling lack of self-worth? You mean Ryan Rue have fucking had doubts on growing a movement astronomically? You mean you've had no food, or you've been broke for fucking 7 days of your life? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, because it's real shit. This is real conversations with real people.
Absolutely.
Like, this is where you can really pull some learnings, because like there's no one person out there that's got it all sorted. No. I still every day, I think this has come up with what we were talking about today earlier, boys. It's like I still must subconsciously question my growth in the podcasting game. I must constantly do that, and I'm trying to work through that. Why do I do that? Why does that put me into that state of thinking about that? And it's constant. I'm constantly seeking to understand more about, okay, that's a pattern. Because I think a big pattern was brought to my attention today from when you boys walked in there. I mean, yesterday it was all about like me breaking your patterns, getting you out of state. You came here. I said, boys, let's do a podcast tomorrow. You come around today, and I'm like, boys, I feel good. I'm doing well. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Blah, blah, blah. But there's something missing today. All of a sudden, there was something missing. I was like, and then you started to bring my awareness to different pieces, and like, why? That's an inherent thing that's been going on. It's been going, and as you become more and more in tune and learn more and more about yourself, there is inevitably going to be a point, or there is always going to be more stuff to work on, and you just keep bringing it more and more and more into your field of doing the inside work.
Absolutely. We can learn all these things and understand them, but it's actually about understanding them. It's about experiencing them for yourselves and then creating your own understanding about those certain things. Like when you're triggered, or when something pops up, when there's a moment in your life or throughout your day where something becomes really challenging for you, I invite you all to lean into that and to dissect and cultivate where and what started that thought, or what created that for you. Where's that actually coming from? And to move through that and understand for you what created that, creates that space. And when you can understand that, move through that and identify what that was, and consciously go, that's what it was. That's where growth comes from. More understanding and understanding yourself and what's creating these things that pop up in your life to create these triggers.
Yeah, so a lot of the time it comes from your childhood. And it's just 100%. An unconscious thing that you do, and it's in your unconscious mind. So you're not aware that you're doing it, or you're not aware of that behavior pattern until you stop and you go, why the fuck am I angry at this person right now for no real reason? And then it going back, and a lot of the time, the more you chunk down, The more you get to the root cause, and when you get to the root cause, you can release it. You get to the root cause, it's something that's happened in our childhood.
So I don't know whether this is the root cause. I'm still trying to work this out. But I tell the audience this, like, I've been in a place in the past a couple of times where I've not had a pot to piss in Australia. Very two deep, dark places that I think I'm still working through mental scars on going to that deepest, darkest depths of fucking what was hell for me. I believe I'm still working through money blockages because of those situations, right? Let me give you an example. One day I wake up and I think, I need to be a minimalist.
You don't think you know.
Yeah.
You know.
You
just said you think it's because of these things. You know it's because of these things.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know it's because of these things. Yeah, you're right. Calling me out on my shit. Yeah. That's why I love you too. So I know it's because of these.
You're saying I think is creating a blockage straight away. It's creating distance from the thing.
Yeah, it's creating a distance.
Yeah,
so
owning it.
So Sophie Gwydlyn came on the podcast, and we were talking. We're having a real good conversation. Go listen to it, guys. And we start talking about money, and then obviously all my misconceptions around money start coming up. Not consciously, but like subconsciously, up in a bar. And she calls me out, and I'm like, "You're fucking right." So I go and I breathe into it, and I go do work, and I go do more work, and I go do more work, and go do more work, and then I come up with this answer. I wake up in the morning, and I know this is a problem, but I think at this point I've entered fight or flight mode. So I wake up, and I'm thinking to myself, I've put so much money into what I'm doing and what I love and what I'm on purpose with. And I don't want to be in the business of doing all this and this all the time, because that doesn't light me up. I have a very few not materialistic things, necessary things, but not necessary things, like the car, the watch, the whatever. So I wake up and I think to myself, sell everything and start again. 100%. That was a scared boy's reaction to being broke in the past. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what came through from that to me. It was like, so I literally got in my car and I did fight or flight mode, and I drove my car down to the took my private plates off the car. I drove the car down to the auction house. I put the car in the auction. 10 days I went without a car, right? 10 days. I'm thinking, this car's gone. I don't need a car. It's not. It's obviously not going to happen, because the car got returned to me today. The car didn't sell. It didn't hit my reserve. Blah, blah, blah. The car didn't sell. So the car gets returned to me. The boys go to me. I tell the boys the story. The boys are like, Frankie, you operated in this way. You operated in fight or flight mode. This is what happened. You shit yourself because you unlocked that feeling of like going back towards a place where you didn't want to go to, and you've shit yourself, and you've gone, sell everything. But bruv, look what you've got here. Look what you've got there. Look what assets you've got here, and here. Money in the bank. Boom, boom, boom. You're not really there, but in your mind you think you're there.
Yeah.
That's what I experienced, guys, and I literally panicked.
It was a familiar experience, going to bring up familiar emotions that you once experienced from a point maybe where you're financially struggling, and your subconscious mind and your body was like protective mode. Your ego comes through protective mode. I'm going to do everything I can to not re-experience these things, these feelings, because it was uncomfortable.
And I justified it. I justified it as in I needed to shed materialistic things because of becoming attached to materialistic things. I masked it with that.
The ego's great at doing that. Oh no, you're doing this for a good thing.
Yeah, I was doing it for a good reason.
Bullshit insecurity.
But I was like, this is all. Now I see it's all, and I've got to work. I'm still trying to work on this relationship that I have now with money because of these things that I've lived through. I'm trying to become more and more and more and more abundant with it as I know money flows. And here's another thing. Consciously, the 5% of your mind, I understand all of this.
That's exactly what I was about to say. You get it consciously, right? But we are operated by 95. Our actions, 95% of our actions and behaviours are driven by subconscious. So if you've got shitty programs running from back in the day, they're going to continue rolling out in your actions and behaviours. So it's not only a matter of understanding, releasing and processing those old subconscious beliefs, which can be done through breathwork, awareness of it, understanding it, all these ways to release that subconscious belief, but also replacing it with good information that's rewiring those programs in your brain. Otherwise, they just go back to what it knows, and it's just left with this empty space, and then over time, it will slowly go back. So when you start understanding and having these conversations, understanding people that talk about money mindset, that talk about how to be financially have a bigger financial energetic container, talking about these things that will allow you to step into that space that you consciously get, you consciously understand, but just has to keep going in there constantly.
And I agree with you. And here's another thing. So on one side of the table, as a man, openly and honestly, I've probably been struggling with this subconsciously for quite a number of years now. That's why my life was all about get more money, 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 get more money for so long. Found my purpose, lent into it, went fully into the purpose. Forgoed the money on the purpose because I had to do the purpose. Still did things to keep some, obviously, money flowing in, but not as much just about money anymore, right? So naturally the flow of it is going to be smaller now than it was, but you understand consciously that you're doing it for the right reasons, and subconsciously you understand you're doing it for the right reasons. But now you got this big issue right here in your face, and you got to address it. You got a poor relationship to some respect, because you've been when you went to the deepest, darkest depths those 2 times, you never fucking dealt with it, mate. You just masked it. And now you're masking, shedding things as if you're becoming a minimalist, and as if you're doing it for the right reasons. But that's just to mask the issue you still have with money. I will never ask anyone on this podcast, or any one of you that listen, to be honest with yourselves if I am willing to be honest with myself, unequivocally. That is the truest shit that I could ever tell you. It's like I've literally lived it, and I've literally got to get through it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And breath allowed me to see it. Sophie Gwydlin brought my attention to it. I then masked it with a load of stuff. Was continued doing breath work. Yes, I breathed like two or three times for varying time frames, and I think everyone should be doing more breath. Hence why I believe in you boys and Lino and all that so much, because everyone should do it. In the last 3 breath sessions, I'd noticed that when I was getting to the end of these breath sessions, I was like, I've got a few tears in my eyes. And I now, even just during this podcast, I now believe, and I was showing the colour purple, which is all about the crown chakra. It might sound woo-woo to you guys, but I'm telling you now, when you read what these things mean and how they work with you energetically, and it's amazing what numbers and colours and all that mean to you at the right time for you if you look into what the colour means. It's amazing what it says it means on that day when you see that colour. So I see this purple in this meditation. I'm going through it. I'm in there. I'm in the zone. And I'm like, something is fucking missing. And then when you boys came to me today, it's like you came with the pieces that were missing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is why it's so important to surround yourself with people that, even though you're different to them, like we're all totally different, you all bring something to each other's table. That's what a friend group is. Yeah. It's very important that we all have people like that could.
Yeah.
Rue called me out on this podcast. On my own podcast, he called me out. Sophie Gwydlin called me out on the podcast. I respect them massively for calling me out on the podcast. I think Abdullah called me out on the previous podcast about TikTok. Like, that's when you know that you're dropping this fucking ego too. Because you can accept being called out.
And we feel comfortable being able to say that to you because it's going to land and you're open to receiving. And I just want to touch on something you said there, like we brought the pieces. We didn't bring the pieces, we just held up the mirror for you to see it within yourself, because you always had it. Yeah. You already have it. It's just we've got little pieces that are covering what's already in there.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to say to all of you that are listening right now. It's like, consciously, you all know right now as you sit there, consciously you all know that everything that you need is within you. I've told you 17,000 times. Consciously, I know that too.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, we have to keep working that into our subconscious belief too. And this is something I have missed up until today. Making everything subconscious. Dude, man, you boys know the work that's gone in the last 12 months in my life has been something.
You're different. You're literally a different human being to when we saw you last time. We were talking about this after we left yesterday.
Different.
It's like,
different.
What the fuck? That's a different Frankie.
Different.
And it's because of this stuff you've been doing.
Yeah, not surprised.
Different, right? When you're trying to elevate like you two are, different, right? But
it's not comfortable, is it?
Nah,
that's scary shit.
Nah, because it's like even when even people like me, I've always been out there. I've always wanted to share my voice. I started to share my voice. I'm sharing my voice on here with thousands of people. You're opening yourself up to being judged by other human beings. Some of you right now are probably judging me on what I'm saying right now. I get it. We all do it. But it's like I'm becoming more and more. Consciously, I'm at peace of like, I don't give a fuck, I'm just trying to help people. Consciously, subconsciously, I'm still getting used to that. Because as you grow, as a human, as you grow, as the audience grows, as the guests, like the personalities like yourselves that I bring on here grow, you have to get more and more used to that. It's mad. Personal growth never fucking stops.
No. But the relationship with yourself continues to expand. Every conversation you have, the more you can understand yourself, the more you can actually free yourself by expressing these things that people don't want to share and open up about, is the more space that you create in your body. And the more space and the more at peace you become within your own, the more magnetized people come to you. And that grows more and more and more. People want to get around you. This guy's got nothing to hide. What's he going to talk about next?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
I'm keen, I'm interested because he's honest with himself.
Yeah, so, and this is brilliant, right? So, when I first met Ryan Rue, right, they go to, I'm thinking two good looking lads, you know, Rye's played around in the Love Island space with Isabel, Rue's doing, he's a tall boy, so, you know, he's got a big piece. so he's going to be doing all right with the girls. So I said to the boys after the podcast, I'm like, you know, what's going on, lads? You know, must have more sauce than Nando's going on. And they're like, oh, look, we're celibate. I'm like, what? You what? You celibate? And they're like, yeah. Like, and I can't remember how long at the time you'd been celibate for, but. And it happens at this moment in time. I've been celibate now for a couple of months, right? And I never thought I'd say that, to be totally fucking honest. I never thought I could get to this point, to be totally fucking honest. But I can actually say that by taking on the words that you two, and I want you to explain this in your own way, but it's allowed me the time to do the inside work. So whether you're a woman or a man, I personally believe that celibacy for at least, I'd say 90 to 100 days would be a good, and I've not done 90 to 100 days yet, but I'm on the path, gives you so much clarity. And I'll just add this bit in before you boys go with this, because I'm hyped for you to explain this. But since I went celibate, right, the podcast has gone from number 70s, 60s in education, probably 90s, just in education, to number 7 in education.
Yeah.
Because I've just been putting everything into the podcast. I never realised until I think one of you said it to me, that you can use your sexual energy as your creative space to go and create what you actually want to create.
It's a creative energy. And when we're fucking releasing that, it's the most potent energy we have in our body. Yeah. It creates life.
Yeah.
It can create another human being. And if we're just letting that go, and we're also giving that energy to these other people that aren't helping us grow, it's just draining. It's draining our whole energy center, our whole creative space. And it's when we can retain that, and it's not just the energy that goes into the release, the ejaculation or whatever it is, it's that everything else that's leading into that. It's everything else, from the time you spend talking to these people, the time you spend trying to convince, or whatever it is, because it's coming from that place of lack. It's like a take.
Yeah.
There's no energetic
growth.
It's
a sales process.
Yeah, rather than a give, which in a beautiful conscious relationship, that's what it's like. It's you're giving to each other. There's no need to take, and it's not just like Ram Dass says, rubbing genitals together. It's like an intimate communion of these two energies. But in my journey, overcoming that was not only just stopping, but also having those urges and just saying no. It was actually acknowledging that urge is there, or that want is there, that lust is there, accepting and understanding where it's coming from, a place of lack or a place of unworthiness. And so I see a beautiful woman, breathing into that space, letting that energy that's stored in our lower energy centers, our sexual, our root chakra, breathing that up into the body and letting it go until that urge of lust has gone and turned into just love and appreciation
for the fact of the matter that she's just a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's
and again, that's going to sound so woo-woo.
It does, and to me, like thinking back to where I was in my rugby days, I'm like, who the fuck's he talking about? A little bit, but part of me would have gone, actually, yes, because after I had sex with these women that I probably wouldn't see again, I'd feel empty, and it's like that right. Release of like. Oh, that's with the frustration, the anger, the sadness, the unworthiness, all in there. And then I finally release, I get that moment of bliss, and then it's back, what's next? Who's the next one?
I had a fucking full-time career for fucking years doing the same pattern over and over again when I felt empty, bruv.
Yeah.
When I felt empty, it was just like hook up after hook up after hook up, make cash, hook up, make cash, hook up, make cash, hook up. There's no fucking substance, no fulfillment. Honest to God, you need a full-time staff member to deal with that much fucking admin.
Think about that's all energy
that you could be putting
into fucking something, eh?
Yeah.
So that's the shift there, is like it's just understanding how much energy you're actually fucking just throwing away, and you're depleting yourself. That could be going to something growing.
But here's the thing that happens. When I tell the boys that I'm celibate, there's some lads that they'll judge you. They'll be like, oh yeah, Frankie, you've lost your fucking head, mate. Oh, do you know what I mean? I get where they're at in life, so I let it go, and I don't start trying to fight them with my ego now and start saying, oh yeah, it's because it's like, it just, lads, obviously once you get to a certain point in time, you start doing certain things, you start to understand yourself a little bit better, then you start to see more, boom, 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 you want more connection with one human being or with less than what you were having before is way better for you. But this goes for men and for women, right? There are a lot of beautiful women that listen to this podcast that give themselves away, potentially more than they probably would like to, more than they should ever want to too. So that goes the same for men and women, and it's fucking hard to do what the norm is not doing. I mean, what was your experience with it, Rai?
For me, it was an unconscious thing. I didn't one day wake up and go, I'm going to be celibate at all. For me, this come from regaining the relationship with myself.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking know myself. Who was I to go and sleep with someone when I didn't know myself? Who was I to go on dates when I didn't actually truly know myself? I didn't. I had to actually regain the relationship with myself and sit with myself and spend time with myself. And when I started doing that, I actually started to understand what I wanted, what I needed in my life, and what I was doing and running away with these distractions and escapism.
Yeah.
All that sex was doing was distracting me from what was going on internally.
Yeah.
And when I started to sit with myself, when I started to take myself out for dinner, the more I realised I didn't need any of these ways and needs to validate my own love for myself.
Yeah, that's some powerful shit, that is. Yeah, no, that's fucking hit me.
There's a good saying, when you don't feel when you don't feel lonely when you're alone, then you're ready for a relationship. When you don't feel lonely when you're alone, then you're ready for a relationship.
That's some powerful shit, bro.
And then
that is some power. Let that land. Let that fucking land. When you don't feel alone, that's when you're ready for a relationship. That is so fucking true. Because that is all about becoming more peaceful within yourself.
It's about understanding that you're worthy of your own love. And when you're worthy of your own love, you're ready to love someone else. And it took me a while.
Yeah.
And then understanding, as what Rue was just dropping in on, that energy, that all of that time that goes into wanting to connect with somebody on an intimate level to just last a one-night stand or a few weeks. If you're not fully whole and safe within your own, you do know that this isn't going to last for long. And if it does last, it's going to be this continual rubbing of bodies to get off with one another for a very short period of time to feel that sense of presence. That's all it is. People are using sex, drugs, alcohol to be present.
Yeah.
They're in their own heads. All we want to ever do is get out of that, and sex is a really great way of getting out of that. So for that time period, we're out of our heads, we're present with one another, and that's all we're chasing, that present moment deep down.
Yeah, I know.
We've got the stimulation there, we're feeling good, and we're present. We can switch our mind off, come into our body for that moment with this person. That's all it is. You're present, you're getting stimulated at the same time, which is a double bonus. People look for this present moment in other areas or aspects of life as well, using other things. But that sex, that intimacy, for me, I feel is a massive distraction for people to run away from themselves and to feel a sense of worthiness and a sense of love for a moment in time. But if you're not facing yourself, if you're not in love with yourself, if you haven't regained that relationship with yourself, then it's going to be a continual pattern that circulates and circulates and circulates.
Yeah. Fucking, that is, boys, honestly, that is going to change a lot of people's lives. I fucking believe that.
If you're out there right now, I know there's some good-looking lads, good-looking lasses that are listening to your podcast. I challenge you, especially the men, I challenge you to date yourself for 3 weeks. Take yourself out for dinner. Go and get a massage. Go and sit with yourself. For 2 weeks, 3 weeks, see what happens. date yourself. A lot of you out there are just dating people, seeing people.
You don't need to see people. You need to see yourself.
You need to see yourself first.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I fucking because of how much that lands with me, and what I just know that was the message that was the key message that was meant to come out today, 100%. Because like there's so many things that we just presume it's a society norm. It's just that is what we do. Yeah. We are here. We have sexual organs. We're meant to have sex. We're meant to procreate. Yeah, I agree to a certain degree, but fuck me. Make sure the thing that you're plugged into is a positive influence in your life, and make sure you're a positive influence in theirs. Otherwise, you are double fucking yourself. Yeah, literally.
And the celibacy thing isn't about, I'm doing it here till here and then done. Yes, fucking right, I can go back. It's about creating space from that addiction. Yeah. Because that's what it is. It's an addiction. Yeah. It's an escape.
Yeah.
Creating space from that addiction so you can understand, like Ryan just said, more about yourself so that you can come from a different place. You can have a different intention around that whole perspective, around that whole area. And it can come from a place of understanding yourself, because it's nice to connect with women on a more conscious level so you can actually understand yourself. Because sometimes we get to a certain level, we're like, right, well, fuck, I feel like I've figured out a lot of stuff on my own. Maybe it's nice, like you've done with our business, that third or that other perspective, and it's like that in that relationship and that intimate connection. 100%. You can actually unravel more things about yourself and teach each other, and it's like this beautiful thing.
Yeah, 100%. And on that business thing, you'll deliver 70,000 times more value to the world, and 70,000 times more money will return to you as a byproduct of that for what we discussed. 100%, without a shadow of a fucking doubt. That's on that score. On the celibacy score, like you say, it's like most men, and probably women as well. I don't know, because I've never been a woman, but you're probably feeling, fuck, I don't know if I can do that, because what my friend's gonna say, what's my dad gonna say? Is my dad gonna say, you what? When I was alive, do you know what I mean? Because you get those generational stereotypes that come into this, but you have to understand. If you feel right now at this moment that you don't fucking fully know who the fuck you are, right? And at this moment in time, I'm still learning. So if I'm still learning, I reckon there's probably, if you're honest with yourself, you're probably at a point where you don't. Do the 3-week dating yourself that Ryan was saying. Try that. Meals out on your own. Sit with yourself on your own. Silence, meditate on your own. Do things on your own. Be at peace on your own. Stop getting involved in busyness. Being busy for the sake of being busy. And then, if you understand yourself more from that point, then going to the point where you say, okay, cool, right, now I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need to go and have sex with that girl at some point. The most beautiful thing to me was the other day, I went to a fucking gym party, right? A Christmas party. It was like at Cali Beach Club, so it's just hottie on hottie on hottie on hottie on hottie. And I don't think I'm the shyest guy, and I think I've got a little bit of conversation, so I reckon I could have done something. You know what I mean? All right. But I was like, I was home by 6:30, and I went for a Guzman burrito with my mate Lloyd, right? Because I'd rather do that than I didn't want to do what Frankie a year ago would have done. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to do it, and I didn't judge myself for it. I just let it. I thought, cool. It's not the right fucking, like, it's cool, man. You're growing, bruv. Congratulations.
And when you're in control of yourself, if you do not give in to these urges, you see something or someone or a gorgeous woman, and your ego wants to go, I'm going to go chat with her. I'm going to go see if I can get her because I want to validate my worthiness. If you can overcome that, go, oh, I see that old self stepping in there, but I'm in control here.
Yeah.
If you're in control,
yeah,
and you can overcome that urge, what you're doing is actually regaining trust within yourself and building that respect for yourself, which is self-love.
Yeah.
So you're building your self-love up. You're
Yeah.
actually respecting what you truly want,
Yeah.
and not allowing that need or want to come through and overcome your outcome.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? And this is the same with regulating your nervous system. This is the same with spending money in the right places. Not seeing that thing that you're going, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, I need that. I'm going to put money down on that. And going, no, I want a massage. I'll put that money into a massage instead of buying that fancy, the Gucci shoes,
Yeah,
for example.
yeah.
You know, if you're overcoming these things, if you're regulating your nervous system, same thing, energy in, energy out. If you're building that, putting time and energy into building a robust nervous system, and you're not being triggered in certain situations, you're leveling up. You're gaining trust.
Yeah, an example taught me a lot when I obviously me and him have become friends over the time, and that Elliot, and I went round Elliot's house and we were talking on the podcast and before the podcast as well, and he was obviously, we understand each other because we came from a similar environment. You know, our mum and dads were working hard trying to do the best for us, and we were brought into the environment, and we've both tried to pursue different success, and obviously he's way ahead of me in terms of what success looks like in his industry at this particular moment in time. But he was saying, like, when everyone around him was buying the AMGs, the Lambos and all this, that and the other, he tried it and he's like, fuck this. He sold them and made money on them, but before he did any of that, he had assessed what he wanted in his mind for himself and for his future family, and he started to purchase things that reflected that. When you're an artist at that level, that shows a true artist, because a true artist at that level understands thyself before they go and try and become
someone.
Yeah. And it hit me like a fucking, I'm like, fuck. Like, fuck. Because
it's like those dropping moments, those epiphanies.
These, because, you know, you boys, the stuff that you're learning, the stuff that I'm learning, the stuff that Example can bring to the table, Elliot, like, fuck it, this is wisdom, like, when it hits you, because you're raising this awareness because you're doing the work. It's fucking magical shit.
And some things will hit you right now that won't have hit you a year ago. And different, if you listen back to the same podcast in a year, your other things will click.
Yeah.
And it's just where you're at and what you're ready to hear and what you're ready to implement is what will land for you at this moment.
Yeah. The podcast has been like my personal development journey recorded, right? It's my personal development journey that's recorded. It's done with love, full vulnerability and all, and fucking bingo bongo. I unfollowed 750 people, and I've probably lost all them 750 people to follow me back, and I understand that, and that's cool, like reciprocal. But the reason I did, because I'm cutting out less and less noise on when I go on there to post content, because I just want to keep putting more value out to the world, not be a consumer, too much of a consumer, more of a purveyor of helping people elevate. So in order to do that, I need to remove noise. And it's like, look, as much as I'd like to see XYZ person down Cali Beach or on a modelling shoot, this, that, the other, it doesn't really, it traps me on that app for too long. I need to go and I need to put thoughts out and good content out and then leave that, because I need to go and create more of it. And it just frees that time. And also, it doesn't matter whether you're me, you boys, or anything, you will always have I struggled with this. I still struggle with this because of how little I go out in terms of like go out nightlife and parties and all that, compared to younger self who's Frankie the boy around town in England. I struggle with seeing other people out at certain points, and that is something I'm working on too. I struggle where I see people out and I'm like, fuck, I should be out. I should be, I don't have to drink, but I should be out really, because I should be out like doing this, and it's like that's an internal thing that I'm working through myself still now at my age as a man, because and I believe a lot of you listening to this are probably also going through this way, and it's just like if that is something that start to remove things that formulate these triggers whilst you're working on these triggers. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's just that allows you to lean into more of your creative stuff that should be creating things you should be creating, rather than boom, 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 boom. And that is the ends of today's lesson, boys. Boom. Boys, what a time. I appreciate both of you. I will put a link to, by the time this goes out, we'll have our masterclass done, won't we, in the Frankie Lee Academy. Mm-hmm. Bingo bongo.
Yeah. Bingo bongo.
Bingo fucking bongo. There. I'm hyped for that. That'll be in the Academy. So if you guys want to sign up to that, FrankieLeeAcademy.com. That'll be live by the time this podcast goes live. Just want to thank these two for being two genuine humans who have helped me through a lot of stuff at different points. Again, Lino's been massive for me in breath as well, and personal development, and just as well, just people like Sophie calling me out. Anybody that's called me out on anything in the last 12 months on my thoughts, and I hope I'm the guy calling you out on yours, is all I can say. Like, if not me, then who else? Do you know what I'm saying? Some of you might not get... I certainly didn't get that from my mum and dad. I didn't get that from my mum and dad. That was... They called me out on their patterns, but they didn't call me out on things they should have called me out on. And that's what I didn't get from my family. So I hope that hits your ears at the right time. I hope that resonates. If it does, send us, boys, a message. You know, I'll put all the links to all the social medias and the Call to Be Conscious social media and all that, and my social media on there. And guys, thank you so much for coming. And guys, thanks for listening.
Big love, brother.
Thanks for listening, fam. We'll be back, I'm sure, at some stage. We're aiming to launch our own potty, and we'll get Frankie Lee and dive into him a bit more too, so you can...
Might be sitting down in America the next time we do this.
Yeah, all together probably.
Yeah, that's it.
If the rumours are true.
Yeah.
What rumours? Oh, shit. See you later. Much love.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.